Hello, and welcome to the showreel for Big Jam 2. So, turnout wasn't as impressive as last time, but that's mostly on me. I haven't had nearly as much time to promote this jam, so sorry about that. But that being said, massive thank you to everybody who did enter the jam. We've still got some great games, even though there was only a few of you. And the other good news is that because there's only, I think, 9 in total entries, I can show them all off in one video. And that's what we're going to do right now. So, let's get into it. So the premise of this game, best I can tell, is based around an overpowered, leveled up player going back to the early areas of the game, where the monsters are a lot easier to kill now that you've got all the powerful weapons and everything. Only now you're a little too OP, and you end up causing more damage to the village and the villagers than you do to the monsters. So the game looks good, it's cohesive, the controls are smooth and the sounds and music fits nicely, though I did get stuck on invisible obstacles a couple of times. I would have liked to have been able to play it in full screen, but that's not a big issue. I would say this game is more of a story or lesson sort of game since there's no way to avoid destroying the village, but that's not necessarily a criticism. In One Terrible King, you play the king of a village and have to make a bunch of decisions. The decisions are essentially yes or no questions, and the challenge lies in balancing your popularity with the people and the money in your treasury. The game works, there's a nice range of questions, it's not always blatantly obvious which one is the best answer. It seems to have been built for mobile devices in mind though, because the UI went very squiffy when I tried to play it full screen. But other than that, it's a good short game, and it works. Good entry. So, I can't really tell you much about Starguy, because there's no backstory. I'm guessing BurgerBox ran out of time. He did manage to get a little tutorial section going. There's first-person movement, an environment, some advanced movement controls like dashing and like an air jump and things like that. I would be interested to see where this goes, but there's really not enough to comment on at this point. But congratulations for getting something done in 3 days. That's not a small accomplishment by any means. This game sees you take on the role of a futuristic Roomba that can eat people. Your ship has been invaded by pirates and it's up to you to save the docile civilians, or, eat them. Game has a pretty slick feel to it for the most part, the assets used look good and cohesive, the sound design is solid. The only thing that lets the game down is the general jankiness with the controls. Nothing to be ashamed of for a 3-day jam, it's still a great entry, but certainly something that made it a little difficult to play through at times. And also I did clip through the floor at one point and fall into space. So I really like the premise of this game. Rather than being a terrible hero yourself, you play the sidekick of one. You're like a robot sidekick outside of a building that the hero is in, and it's your job to catch falling people before they smash into the ground from whatever it is that the bad hero, is doing inside the building. The gameplay is dead simple, it's move left and right, catch the people as they're falling. There's some additional controls, like you can dash, you can slow down time, you can drop a mattress on the floor to catch people that maybe you can't reach in time. The only thing that lets this game down for me is the title menu didn't go away when I was playing the game. It didn't stop me from playing the game, but it was a bit distracting. But other than that, I really liked this one, it was a lot of fun. Swamp Escape brings some strong limbo vibes to the table. You're escaping a witch in true Hansel and Gretel style, and you have to do so by navigating a platform puzzler environment of a swamp. The look of the game is great, and all the more so for the fact that the artwork was actually made during the jam. It wasn't a requirement, but it is impressive that you've done it. And the sound works well. I did encounter some performance issues. I don't know if that was to do with the engine or the way it was coded. Like every now and again it went 2 frames per second for no apparent reason. And it's a little short, but it's a 3-day jam, so I can't really complain about that. But what's there looks and feels very polished, and I would be interested to see where this game goes if you keep working on it. Peasant Rescue is a puzzle platformer in the vein of something like Duke Nukem, the original one, not the 3D ones, or Jet Set Willy, if you're old. You play as a peasant who's trying to rescue a girl from an old mine. So let's start with the good. The art style works, I like it. The audio's good. It gives me those warm, fuzzy retro feelings. The premise is solid. However, as you might note from the gameplay footage, I personally had major trouble with the controls. Like, to the point that I eventually gave up before I'd really got out of the first area, almost. Could be just my inferior platforming skills, but I really struggled with this one, and I would definitely look to improve those if you were going to carry on working on it. Unless you're just going for one of those super difficult games where part of the appeal is how hard it is. Operation Meat Grinder is a strategy game where you take control of the landscape around your dungeon. You are in charge of a dungeon. The heroes are just dumb villagers dreaming of gold, and it's your job to lead them into the quote meat grinder, i.e. your dungeon. You play the game by placing down tiles to lead the heroes towards the dungeon and trying to keep them away from certain tiles that allows them to level up. The game looks and sounds great, the gameplay itself was smooth. My only gripe with this was that I couldn't quite figure out how I was supposed to actually lead the villagers anywhere. I just ended up putting water tiles down when I could and hoped that that would make them walk in the right direction. So, there we have it. Those are our entries for b3agz Jam 2. If I've timed this right, this video should be going out around the same time that the voting period is drawing to a close, so we should know the winner of the jam shortly after this video goes live, if not at the same time. So, if you haven't voted yet, get your votes in quick if there is still time when you see this. And thank you to everyone who participated. I was very impressed with what was created in this jam. And of course, thank you to my Patreons who've been very patient this last month when I've been just rushed off my feet with real work and not YouTube work. And an even specialer thanks go to the Sugar Daddy / Momite Patreons, who are Dave Maldine, Reg Reed, Gabriel White, Aaron Clark, Mr. Drunken Dragon, Julian, Andrew Hansen, and Adji. So that's all for now. Hopefully we'll be back with a new video quite soon. Thank you for joining the jam, thank you for watching the video, thank you for voting, just thank you for being around. We'll see you soon. Bye bye.